Welcome to the Straight from the Heart show. I'm Yutam Miraz. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your kind words. Today we've got an amazing guest. He's all the way from USA. He's a dear friend, brother, family of mine. This guy is a coach. He's raw. He tells you as it is, and also for me he's a master motivator because he motivates me every day. So without further ado, let me welcome you to my brother, Mr. Coach Frank Sagasta. How are you,
Hey,
Coach?
hey, what's happening? What's happening, everybody in the UK and around the world? Much appreciation to be on the show with my beloved brother. Real fast, I want to definitely all praise to God and my benevolent brother and his meekness and kindness to allow me to come on. It's been an honor and a privilege to get to know this man and his family, and I can't wait as our journey and dream. As of next year, 2017, is for me and my wife to take flight to the UK to spend a day, 2 days, 3 days with my beloved brother and his family. He might be able to share with us the experience of the UK and just the camaraderie within the states of the UK. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on.
I'm so humbled and thank you. I appreciate you so much for those kind words, and we look forward to opening our arms to you. So, Coach, can you tell our viewers who doesn't know about you a little bit about yourself, your background, and where you come from, and what you do, please?
Yeah, definitely. So my background, everything has a beginning, and as we collaborate, most of the times we talk about limitless. I come from a very broken home, no father. I had a mother that suffered from Alzheimer's and depression, and I remember vividly, my mother being in a state of mind and spirit where she would be sometimes looking in a dark room, and she would forget to feed me and make sure I was going to school. I would ditch all the time. I used to steal. I was a very troubled individual. I grew up in Riverside, California, and I was molested for a number of years, abused physically and sexually by a man across the street. I knew no better. I would share, with people what was happening, and nobody did anything. So you might say that was some of the struggles of life for me. Later on, I'd be taken from my mother around the age of 9 to 11 years old and placed into foster care through the state of California. That would have been also another time of trial and tribulation for me, going to foster home, people that I never knew. And I was a troubled youth, as I said, a troubled adolescent, as society would label us. And I was a runaway. I ran away from every foster home I ever went. Was homeless for months on end, and finally the state of California placed me in the care of my half sister, and my half sister couldn't handle me, and she seen fit to place me back into the foster care, and there I was again running away. So I was homeless, on multiple levels, multiple times, and I found myself about 1994. I was in an position. Either I could go to juvenile hall and go to a military camp, or I could go to an orphanage. And I went to the orphanage, and the orphanage was owned by, back then, it was owned by Loma Linda University, which is in California. And many things, the seed of greatness was planted but never watered. From 1994, it was planted. And of course, those who are on their path to being great and doing great things in life, I found in today, we all have the potential of being great. We all have the seed, but sometimes you have to understand when that seed is planted from the very existence of your life, if nobody waters it, you never grow. And so it was that I never grew. It wasn't until I came out to Arizona in 1998, where I would meet my mother, the mother of my children and my wife, and shortly I would be engulfed with my faith. I'd be employed by surrounding myself with great people. And it wasn't until 2010 that I was formally introduced to a man, the guru we call, the most inspirational speaker in the world. That's Dr. Eric Thomas and the ETA family. As of 2010, it was, still a bumpy road in my life. I was still going through some trials and tribulations, still dealing with some past pains, but and also some, some negative habits that I had created for myself. But I knew ultimately that throughout 2010 that I had to change my life. So in 2015, I made the commitment and promise unto God and to myself and to my family in secrecy that I was going to definitely change my life and help others change their life. And so that's what will bring us up today. I've spent 6 years, 10 months, 1,062 hours on educating myself, self-actualization. There's nothing better than that. I've learned from a lot of the greats through history. One of the biggest and most intelligent individuals that I will always hold dearly to my heart is King Solomon, which was the wisest man and richest man that ever lived, through history shows us. So, and he just wasn't rich with the monetary system like society makes us to believe or impels us to believe, but it was through knowledge, through understanding, and through the harmonization that you can do anything you want to do if your heart is right and if your mind is right and if the spirit is right. So that's where I'm at, brother.
Coach, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for everything that you've dropped in there, the nuggets and everything that you've dropped in there. And you've been through a lot, my brother. And I can resonate with what you've gone through, the way we connect, we talk, we support and sustain each other. We've got our, I call it the mastermind group,
right,
that we have, that we speak on a daily basis. We feed our mind, we feed our mind, we feed our mind. But coming from that place of negativity where you came from, being abused, being from home to home, being rejected by your own half-sister, your mother, how did you find the strength, the courage, the determination, the perseverance to get you out from where you were to where you are, the man that motivates me today, and I love you to bits. So you become a great man. So how did you come from that place to where you are right now? What helped you?
I put everything on sports. Growing up, and you know this, playing soccer, you know what I'm talking about, is in sports you learn a lot of different traits, and some of those of integrity, some of those of honor and respect and and perseverance. It wasn't until 1994 when I started playing football for Colton High School, and I tried out for track, and then running the relay. That was my number one objective, was run the relay, and I love the relay. So in fact that I found out that we are running a relay race each and every single day of our life, and we're passing the baton onto every single soul that we meet in life. And when we pass that torch on, that flame, it's destined to meet somebody else and keep on going. And I would have to say, sports for me really opened my eyes. It allowed me to take all the burden that I was sharing, that I had on my shoulders, and impact it through running, through the key fundamentals, the detailed information that allowed me to be faster, to be more here, to play football, and to focus all my anger, all my attention on my opponent. And a gentleman by the name of Michael Smalls, who is a University of Notre Dame alumni, was one of my life mentors, and today he's still a mentor. But I don't speak to him on an everyday basis like I would with you or anybody else. But I still hold him deep in my heart because he's the one that really showed the true passion, the true love of what you could be in life. That seed that I was talking about, that diamond that we talk about, the giant within. He exposed that. He just didn't spend enough time watering it and pointing it in the right direction. And so that didn't happen until 2010 when I met Mr. Eric Thomas, a hip-hop preacher. But I think ultimately, in order to persevere, you got to definitely have everything in balance. And that's one of the things that once I'm done with this show, I'm going to jump onto my show, the No Cooking with or no Sugar in My Coffee, via Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube, is our core balance. if we don't have our core balance in life, then we'll never persevere over things in life. And if you don't have, God, for me, it's God, family, education, business. And that's the same thing. Is you got to have a good balance of everything, because sometimes your greatness will never come in life. Your success that everybody is seeking will never come if you don't have a proper balance, a core of balance. So that's a lot of the things I'll be talking about today. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is I had to find my faith, and I knew that my faith actually came in 1997 when I was looking, and I still vividly remember I told one kid the other day, brother. I told one kid today. It was yesterday. I remember everything vividly that happened to me, like if it happened to me yesterday. And because your pain should always be in your memory bank, that it pushes you to greatness. And so I told this kid, I said, through all my pain and trials and tribulations in life, it's helped me to become brighter and to put my faith. But in 1997, I remember kneeling down and looking into the stars and saying, I know there's a God out there. I know there's a creator out there. I know there is. Because we didn't just like I was taught. We didn't just evolve from a monkey and the monkey just stopped evolving. We didn't just come from a little polywog fish and it just stopped evolving. It don't work like that. Cause and effect. Everything happens for a reason. So I hope that helped answer your question, brother.
It did. You give us so much value as always, brother, because the reason why Coach here has got so much knowledge, so much power within him is because he's watered that seed. And I will give you one example that I admire about this man. I've got daily rituals in place in my life, and I stick to it regimentally. I stick to it like I'm in the army, because I know that's what drives out the greatness in me. Coach, I know what your rituals are. Explain to everybody what time do you wake up in the morning and what you do and how you do your day. Please let everybody know that.
Yeah, definitely. So for everybody, I wake up at 2:50 every single morning, and I resonate with my faith, my God, and I spend an hour between 30 minutes to an hour with Him, and then after that, I get into self-actualization. I read for about 2 to 3 hours daily, and it's my ritual. It's my habit. It's something that I'm very obsessed about, something I'm very passionate about. And then after that, I display some of the detailed information that what I receive through my morning show. And that's no sugar in my coffee every single morning. And I always, before I begin anything, I always bring something out of the book of Proverbs, because one of the greatest commissions in life is going into all the world and preach the gospel. So I want to fulfill that and stay to it. And ever since then, I've seen great and wonderful and powerful blessings. And I can't stop sharing that with everybody. It's like the more you apply yourself, the more that you have a commitment, the more you'll see those results, the more you'll be happy. And that's a fact.
Wow. And I love that. Every morning, guys, he's got his sugar, no sugar in his coffee. Amazing show. You get some good knowledge, some amazing nuggets, tools, ideas. Because believe me, Coach reads for 2 to 3 hours a day. Do you know how many books that Coach has read? He's got so much power. And he reads this book. And Coach, can you tell people why you call it no sugar in your coffee, please?
Because I come absolutely raw. I don't have no sugar, so there's no icing on the cake. You don't just for me, when I was a kid, I used to love going. I remember this. Like as I said, I remember my memories are very vivid. So I remember my mom when I was real young. She worked at a deli down the street, and I remember going in there because she used to have an account. And I would go in there and I would say, "Mom, can I get some candy?" She'd say, "Yeah, get a couple." Man, I'd grab a whole box of candies and I would take them to school and I would sell them. So back then I was starting to understand how to make money, and I would sell them sometimes for $1.50, even though they were like maybe 50 cents. But I had a thing for candy. I had a thing for sweets. Today, I don't have a thing for sweets. And so now when I come with my no sugar in the coffee in the morning show, is I come absolutely raw. I don't script any of my information. I give all my information absolutely off the top of my head and off the top of my heart. I never, and it's one thing that really attracted us is when his title is Straight from the Heart, and that's absolutely true. Straight from the heart, mind, and soul. That I can give you everything that you absolutely need for that day to be great. and if I can't, then I promise you I'll find you the solution and the strategy to get it. I know that for a fact, and today you brought up about my books, and I'm right now in my 35th book this year. Most of the greats in the world, all the greats in the world, when we talk about, Andrew Carnegie, we talk about Albert Einstein, we talk about, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Warren Buffett, they all read 60 plus books a year. So when you want to be great in life, you have to apply yourself. Now, there's different types of learners that are visual learners. Those are auditorial. For me, I've never been a reader. For those that don't know, on this podcast is Coach Sagasta dropped out of college, because it wasn't for me. Maybe later on down the road, I might attend again. That all depends. But I can tell you with all sincerity, with all my heart, that I've downloaded information into my cognitive mind, into the limbic part of my brain. I've downloaded more information than I received in 3 years of college. And that ought to say something, that some of the greats didn't go to college. They self-actualized. The self-actualization is where they've seen purpose. They've seen fit. And so I share that you understand that, some people are going to be audio learners. They're going to hear, because they're always on the go. For me, I made the sacrifice of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I sit down and I read and I consume. I've never been a reader. I barely got through college. So when I say that, me and Dr. Thomas had a chemistry. We had an actual frequency of chemistry and different things. Even though he's a little bit older than me, but we had a chemistry. He was homeless. I was homeless. He was without a father. I was without a father. So there's some resemblance, and that's what drew our attention. That's the same thing with you and me, my brother. Is we have that same resemblance. We have different things, even though we might be of a different age, a different ethnicity, a different color. We still share a common trait. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is there's a lot of things. The more that you communicate, the more that you're open and flippant with people and you bring the humility with it, great things that are possible, the wonderful things that are possible beyond the wildest dreams. It's amazing.
Wow. And guys, Coach has gone through all these circumstances that a lot of people will use as an excuse not to get where they want. I've been through a lot of things in my life. I used to feel sorry for myself. Oh, you've been through it. I know you have. I used to feel sorry for myself. Oh, do you know what? I'm the orphan. It's meant to happen to me. This is what it is. This is what it is. The world owes me. The world owes me. Until I changed my perception of that, I didn't see greatness. So as the motivator and the no BS that you are, this is what I love about you, you're no BS. What would you say to some person that would use the excuses, resources, saying, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the education, I didn't have this, because one of the things, your college dropout, and guys, have you heard how my brother talks about the limbic system of the brain? This is a school dropout. Let him be an inspiration to you. So what would you say to this guy or lady that's got saying, all these excuses?
You have to be accountable for you. It's like my book I'm writing. The book I'm writing is called You Owe Yourself. And when you understand there's an accountability. Now, I have a speaking engagement in 2 weeks. And the speaking engagement is for people that are suffering from depression, anxiety, drug addiction. And there's a number of individuals, between 50 to 80 people. And the first thing that came to my mind that captivated my time and my mind when I was sitting in my office yesterday was accountability. And so I drew it up on a board. And what's amazing is I drew it in permanent ink that it never erased. Because what people don't understand is there's a line. And you in that line, you have a victim, which you and I were a part of that. And then you start climbing this line and it gets to the top. And some of it goes straight. Some of it goes up a mountain and then goes straight. And that's where you come to accountability. And Benjamin Franklin said, accountability is that of responsibility. And so today, you and I could definitely sit here and resonate and both come to an agreement that you have to be accountable for who you are, where you are, and own up to it. Find the strategies and solutions and embrace it and change it. And for the victim is going to have the desultory, which is the non-consistency, the procrastination, the blame game, and the excuses. That's the victim. when you can change that, and I just told an individual today on our conference call, when you could change that ramification of where you're at, mentally, physically, and spiritually, then you can start climbing on that path to being accountable for everything that you do in life. And she fully understood it. So that's exactly what I would have to explain to somebody: is you got to stop blaming yourself. You got to stop being a victim. Stop being a victim and start being accountable, and start owning up to it, and start finding the solutions, and start doing what is right, what you absolutely need to do in your life. And as I said earlier, be committed, because commitment equals results equals happiness. Hello? You know what I'm saying?
That's it. And coach, one thing I know you're passionate about, and you talk about it a lot, and I know you implement that in your life, is sacrifice.
Oh.
And one of the sacrifices that I will say you've implemented in your life is the 4 hours that you sleep a day. And that's why you've gained all that knowledge. How important is sacrifice in life?
Sacrifice is absolutely the most important. When you look at some of the greats in life and how much they sacrificed in their life, I look at Nelson Mandela, I look at Martin Luther King, I look at Abraham Lincoln, I look at a lot of the greats that sacrificed in their life. And one of the things that I've had to sacrifice is sacrificing my time of sleep, as you mentioned, sacrificing continuous education as society sees fit, to go to school, to get this elaborate job, and to have a white picket fence and live up on a hill. I sacrifice, partying. I sacrifice friends. I sacrifice a lot of things. Sacrifice, you can never get out of life what you don't put into it. And with that, what you put into life, you have to have sacrifice. You have to give something in order to get something, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. You can't be misinformed by that. You have to understand that you have to give something in order to get something, and that's so true. And when people find that, the better they are in life, the more that they'll see greatness within you, versus just, oh, I'm going to go get this and I'm going to take this, instead of giving something. One of the greatest things that I always emphasize on is love thy neighbor as thyself. And that's the same thing, is I gotta love my neighbor just like I love myself. And he wasn't just talking about your next door neighbor. He's talking about every mankind, every person you meet in life. When you love that person as you do yourself, that's when growth, that's when true progress starts to begin. And you sacrifice so many things. Like we talk about, my upbringing. Most people, you won't ever get outside the realm or the comfort zone of ever talking about your life and sharing it with others. But when you do, that's sacrifice. You sacrifice not only your time, but you sacrifice, that criticism, that thought of people thinking down on you because you opened up. So you're sacrificing your credibility, your integrity. But you know what? In all things, man, they work together for good. So
all happens for a reason. All happens for a reason. Another thing I want to talk about, and for the viewers to get to know, the T-shirt you got on. Explain to us. That's all I'm going to say. Explain to us what it is, and just go ahead. Freestyle.
Okay, so, and it's amazing, but I did not put this shirt on for the show. And I say that with all sincerity, is I put it on for my morning show. But in light, everything works together for good, as my brother just said. And the word Kaizen, and that's K-A-I-Z-E-N. And it's a Japanese word. It means continuous development. And it's a creed that I live by. The creed is so impacting, because if you stop growing, if you stop developing yourself in life, then you become stagnant. You grow roots and you're withered away. But a person like a beautiful apple tree that continues to a farmer that continues to love his field, he makes sure that it's nurtured. He makes sure that it has the oxygen. He makes sure that it has the water, the proper lighting. And guess what this thing does? Just bloom and give apples. So, that's exactly what Kaizen is. It's continuous self-development, continuous development. And that's exactly what Coach Sagasta, my brother Mutam, is doing. And I respect and hope that everybody that is watching is doing, because that's how you become great. That's how you be changed. That's how you change that person that you once were, and you go from victim to accountable. So it's improvement, continuous improvement.
Wow. Coach has got so much knowledge, is invested in himself. Don't say, I hear people saying, do you know what? I couldn't pay for this course. I couldn't go to college. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And it's all BS, because the way I invested in myself, and I know the way you've invested in yourself, I'll start with my own thing. I was broke as anything, wanted to do all these Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, all the big people, couldn't afford it. But we are so blessed to have YouTube. We are so blessed to have social media. We are so blessed to have people like you, myself, a lot of our circle that do live videos, passing on that knowledge. And just go on there and start investing the time. If you can't invest 2 hours, start with baby steps. Start with 5 minutes of reading. Read one page, read one sentence. One sentence is still one sentence that you didn't have yesterday. You will have that knowledge today. Agree with me, Coach?
I totally agree.
And how did you find your passion? Because a lot of my clients and in a lot of my events that I do, they ask me this question. They find it difficult to find their purpose and passion. And also bearing in mind, Coach, not a lot of people are religious or have the faith as well. They've been going through life in autopilot. They've been conditioned by society. They've been conditioned by TV. They've been conditioned by all this. To make it easier, just give us 3 things that they can do to find and break out of that horrible cycle of conditioning.
It goes back to, being motivated. You have to have motivation. Motivation is energy, and charisma is inspiration. And I think that a lot of people, when you lack faith in anything, you will fall for everything. And that's a fact, and you have to have faith in something, and whether it's a rock, but you got to have faith in something. Mine is the solid rock. So, you've got to have faith in something. And when you don't, as I said earlier, and if you don't have faith, you will fall short and you will fall for everything that comes your way. And that's exactly what you said. You talked about the Education Institute, and that's exactly what people have perceived us to believe, that you go to school and you have faith in the school system and you will be great in life. That's a false pretense. That's a lie. That's not absolutely true at all. And there's no backing by that. The reality is there's people in the world, when you fall for that false pretense, then you definitely go into the poverty state. You go into that area of procrastination, the deletery of procrastination, and you don't want to be there. Procrastination kills people. People without faith, it kills people. And you know this as well as I do. Is you got to have faith. You got to have faith that whatever you're going to do, your desire in life has got to be backed by faith. And it's one of the laws of success. Have a desire, but it's got to be backed by faith.
Simple as that. And we're talking about energies.
My coffee.
So energies are all around us. So we're all human beings. As positive as I am all the time, there are mornings where I wake up and I'll have that 10 minutes of negativity, because it's our physiology. It's normal. And I've got my ways to snap out of it. But there are people out there that can't snap out of being positive. So it's very difficult for those people. And they spiral downwards. And their day will just end up being negative. What steps and tools that you can give to people to counteract that?
Oh, well, as I always share, and I'll share my coffee with you, but what does it say? If it don't challenge you, it won't change you. So, and it's so true. And if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you in life. So the biggest thing that I've had to do, this is one of my first steps for anybody out there, is write it down. Whatever that motivates you, if it's your dream, your desire, your goal, your vision, write it down and then post it in 2 different spots, in your car or in your office or at home, but write it in 2 different spots and you hold yourself accountable to that. As I said earlier, don't be a victim, be accountable to it and have an accountable partner. But always write down, put on sticky notes everywhere. I write it on my cups. I write it on my boards. You walk into my office, and my brother has definitely seen my office. It's filled with quotes everywhere. Kids come in there and they're like, wow, coach, did you write all this? I wrote them all, but some of them are my words, some of them are not my words. But you see the authors right by them, or the existence, the origins of where they came from. But listen, you have to. If you want to be great in life, if you want to start anywhere, you got to have a beginning. As I said earlier in our conversation, you have to have a beginning. And that beginning starts day by day, every single way, getting better and better. You know, and Dr. Thomas always attests to this. You know, I can, I will succeed today. And he says, I can, I will, I must, because you can do all things through him. So understand, you have to write it down. You have to put on sticky notes, and you have to put them in different spots where you're going to see them. Because when you start seeing them, it has been said by Marcus Aurelius, it's been said by Napoleon Hill, it's been said by many of the greats, what the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. So there it is.
100%. Where you are now in your life, your mind has brought you there. Where you're going to be or where you want to be, your mind will take you there. The car that you drive, your mind has conceived it. The home that you live in, your mind has conceived it. Me talking to my beloved here, my mind has conceived that, and my heart has conceived that. So we've got 2 minutes left on the show, and I will ask you this question. You're a man who reads, you're a man who's grown, you've watered that seed. Today, you're no longer that acorn seed, you're the oak tree. This is what you're becoming. So give me 3 books that we can tell people to read that will make that fun. 3 of your favorite books. Top 3 books.
All right. How can I show the people?
Yeah, you can show.
Okay,
yeah.
let me show.
The problem with the showing, the people that are listening on iTunes.
Well, I'll tell them. I'll tell them.
Tell them. That's it. That's it. So Coach has now gone to get his books, and he's going to show us guys, and he's going to talk us through the books. And it's so phenomenal, and we're so lucky. I'm so happy to have such a wonderful person like my brother Frank here.
So these are my 3 favorite books. As I got started on the mission of being great in life and helping others to be an influence and an inspiration to others, and none other than the first book was a life book, and it's the Bible and through Proverbs. That was my first book, and I read that consistently. Each and every single day. After that, I moved over to my hero, which is Greatness is Upon You. And just to show you how passionate I am about helping others, I lent this book out. Okay, this book has been signed. Whoops, you see, I told you I put stickies everywhere. For all those people that are just listening, I told you I put stickies everywhere. Okay, but this book was signed by Dr. Thomas and given to me. And I lent this book out for a number of months. Most people, anything signed, they don't lend out. Especially when it's their guru, when it's their mentor, they don't lend out. If it's somebody famous, they don't lend out. It's like taking a ball from one of the greatest baseball players that ever lived and lending it to somebody to go play catch. It just doesn't happen. But I wasn't looking in it at that in that sight, in that spectrum. I didn't look at it that way. The first thing I could think is, how can I help this individual? Here's this book. Read this book, and I promise you'll start making change in your life. I've read it 3 times, and it's starting to fall apart, but you know what? I'll go back to it from time to time. It's a great and phenomenal book. The next book that I moved to is one of the 4 I have, and it's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Ever since I opened this book, and it showed me the faith and how I must keep my faith congruent to my desire, I knew that I had to definitely follow the steps and the principles of the 17 laws and stay close to those in sincerity with all my heart. I got to give you 4 because this is the one that goes neck and neck, and they coincide with one another with the book of Proverbs. But this is by Stephen K. Scott, and the book is called The Richest Man Who Ever Lived, and it's King Solomon. And this man did his research and done his research very well. And I say that because I've spent a number of years and months and hours researching about King Solomon. And when I say that this man really dug into the information, this man is a scholar. And I believe that with all my heart. And I know he's a PhD grad, but I can definitely see that this man spent many countless hours more than me. So I seen somebody that was definitely getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and was grinding. So I love that. I love that.
Amazing. Coach, can you tell us how people can look you up, where people can get hold of you? Tell us your website, your social media.
Yes, you can always contact me via email. That's sagasta7@gmail.com. That's Sagasta, Sagasta, the number 7 @gmail.com. You can always see me on Facebook, which is Frank Sagasta. You can always see me on Periscope, which is Frank Sagasta, or YouTube at Frank Sagasta. Instagram, Snapchat. You're always going to see me around social media at Frank Sagasta. That's Sagasta, the number 7. And you can always see my webpage, which is Coaching Beyond, all one word, coachingbeyond.org.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being an amazing guest. Thank you for the value. And thank you for adding the 4th book. This is what we add value. People ask you for free, you give an extra. That's what you are, you're a giver. And in life, we have to give. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know I love you dearly. And thank you so much for everything that you do.
You're welcome, brother. Take care, everybody. Many blessings.
Thank you. I'm signing out from Straight from the Heart. I'm Yutamar Miraz. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to my guest today. I'm going to sign out. And as always, I'll tell you guys, live well with one another, because if we don't, what is the point? Love what you do and do what you love. Thank you so much.